It's morphin' time!
Fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to the G.I. Joe Classified Series review. Today I'll be taking a look at the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Deluxe Snake Eyes. Now, yes, I know I'm late to the party on this one. Absolutely. I actually got it right when everyone else did. And that's kind of what took away my motivation. I was busy at the time, couldn't get the review out right away, and all the big reviewers ended up doing their take on it, and I was like, okay, what do I do to make it unique? And so then I just sat on it for a bit. I had shot the review, I just didn't get a chance to post it. But looking back at it while trying to edit, I was thinking of just re-editing, uploading. I noticed that there was a lot of misinformation. Now, it's not intentional misinformation. At the time of shooting the review, we hadn't seen the retail version of Snake Eyes yet, and there were some other things that, you know, weren't really clear at the time, since it was kind of like an early review. So I figured now my approach here is to go ahead and look at this set with the context of knowing what the retail Snake Eyes is like, and what's coming up in the line. And also my main motivation for doing this is that I have 3 figures from Wave 1 being delivered tomorrow. Oops. Anyways, so without further ado, we're going to take a little bit more in-depth look in the terms of the context, thinking, how is this different from the retail release? As I'm sure there's people out there now looking at the retail release and wondering what the differences are. I don't have the retail release version yet. That will be a different video entirely. If I do get it, I'm not entirely certain I will. But we're going to take a look at this and also provide that information for those that need it. So, without further ado, let's start. First of all, the box is big, it's pretty. You've probably seen this on social media, unless you watch exclusively my channel, in which case I thank you dearly. This box is gorgeous. It's got a nice wraparound slipcover, G.I. Joe Classified Series. You can see some of the artwork. Inside is this lovely box. And now this is where I think some of the extra $20 came from. I know this set cost 40 bucks for one figure. I have it upside down. My bad. It was $40, and look at this box. Like, this is some premium high quality stuff. It's not only high quality wrapped cardboard, but it's embossed like a madman. I don't even know who at Hasbro said, let's do this, but thank you. It's gorgeous. I can also never get rid of this box. It's too pretty. But you can see some kanji here, which I believe is for Snake Eyes. It's either Snake Eyes or Ashikage, one or the other. Now, opening it up can be a little tricky. As you can see, I'm holding just the lid, and it holds really well. It's that nice of a box. But there's these 2 little lips here. You can kind of get some grip and twist. Of course, because this wasn't enough, here's the artwork a 3rd time, this time on more traditional parchment paper kind of style. It's a very nice piece, and I kind of want to frame it, put it up with the on the wall somewhere, but it's incredibly nice. Again, not necessary, doesn't change the figure at all, but the presentation is really great. And then to add that all up, the inside figure is in foam. So we got 2 things going on here. We have Snake Eyes himself, and then a weapons rack with the weapons. So the weapons are interlaced in the black foam, and there is a rack here. We'll take a look at that in a bit, but I do want to pull out the Snake Eyes box, because when we first saw this, I'm going to put that to the side. When this was first seen, everyone figured this was just a recolor of the retail Snake Eyes, and then the box was going to be pretty much the same, but it's actually not. There's a lot of changes here. So first of all, you can notice Snake Eyes has 2 extra hands. One of them's hidden behind there. Those 2 extra hands are exclusive to this version of Snake Eyes. They're not in the retail release. And the guns are realistic, while the retail one are more sci-fi, which actually kind of blends with the aesthetic of the line. So I kind of appreciate that aspect. But otherwise, the accessories are the same, and the figure itself has a silver visor. He's got colored pants and extra bandoliers, which have a gray color to them. The retail one is all black. So that's essentially your difference. And so because of that, I think they went with this monochrome packaging for the monochrome look. The artwork is, I think, the same as the retail one. It's just all grayed out. Same as the back, all the figures have this artwork on the back, and this one's grayed out. And on the side, you can see the kanji, which again, I think is for Snake Eyes. Normally, you'd find the classified information symbols, which the retail figures will have. But you also notice is 00. Same at the top, you have an Arashikage logo, and 00. This does make him a distinctively different figure from the rest. So I think anytime you have a number, it's going to be different for an exclusive versus a retail release. But this is not exactly the same package. Accessories aren't even laid out the same. And that was something previously that everyone kind of assumed this was going to be just the retail Snake Eyes. But it is not. They're actually different. But let's crack into it. Let's take a look. This guy's got a lot to him. So here is Snake Eyes himself. Now I wanted to focus on the figure, of course, because of articulation and scale. But specifically, let's take a look at the details. Like I mentioned in the packaging segment, this figure features a lot more color variation. And I know some people actually weren't happy with that, and they did prefer the all black, which is what the retail release is. So if this isn't your thing, you may not want to worry about tracking this version down specifically, especially since he was exclusive and limited. That being said, I actually really do like this. For me personally, maybe it's because, you know, I was born in the mid-90s, but all black Snake Eyes hasn't appealed to me as much as more color variation Snake Eyes, and I don't know if that's just the way the media that I've seen prepares it, or, you know, comic artwork or whatnot. But I think what really sells me is the silver visor, and I know a lot of people that have swapped this head onto the retail one, been perfectly happy. But yeah, the silver visor really, it's kind of iconic for Snake Eyes for me, and again, I blame the 2000s for that. I blame the 2000s for that a lot, but yeah, looks really nice. I like the head sculpt. It is a new design, if I didn't say that before. It is not the classic design. The whole line is new designs, which I actually really, really like. I know we'll probably get more retro versions later. It's kind of inevitable, but I do like the new designs because it's new, it's fresh, it feels good. The overall, the overlay part here, this gray part, is actually a separate piece, so it does come off, but it is sculpted to be on there, so keep that in mind. Now the armbands, the belts, and the leg bands are all overlay pieces, but unlike Marvel Legends where they fall down constantly, these are sized correctly, so they hardly move at all. You could remove them if you want, but they barely move, which is great. They actually, you know, they actually stay on there. Marvel Legends Cyclops is a giant mess with that, but really nice paint details. I love the buckles. Sculpting's incredible. The belt as well. It's got the Arashikage logo on one of them. It's got two belts, but I don't know why necessarily, but it's cool. And then the boots as well. He's got kind of the ninja shoe look sculpted to it, which is really, really cool. But articulation-wise, let's go through it. He's got two joints at the neck. So he's got an upper joint and a lower joint. This lower joint is a dumbbell joint, and this upper joint is a standard ball joint, which means you can pop the head off if you work it. It works like other Hasbro heads, but you do have that double neck joint going on, which is amazing. Shoulders out pretty far. Of course, got the butterfly shoulders, which have become a Hasbro standard now. Bicep swivels, double jointed elbows, but ones that go pretty dang far for double joints. And then wrists that swivel, wrists that pivot, which is good for different articulation moves. He's got a Hasbro style ab crunch, but it goes pretty dang far. And then the amazing part is it doesn't have just a swivel waist joint. He actually has the same articulation as a vintage G.I. Joe, to where it's a, I think it's a double barbell joint, where it's got ball joint up here and ball joint down there, and so you can actually get him to like crunch down like crazy far, and kind of like tilt left and right. Now it's not like entirely practical necessarily, but it does provide more articulation than the standard, and it reminds me a lot again of vintage Joe figures with their whole O-ring system. So it's not an O-ring, don't worry, it's not an O-ring, but that's pretty amazing. Hips wise, his hips can actually pull down to move forward, which gives it a heck of a lot more range. Same with the outward. He actually has more outward hip range than a Power Ranger does, or at least some of the Power Rangers. And then, yeah, he's also got, it's a full ball joint. Thigh swivel, right where the strap is, so it hides it nicely. Double jointed knee, which goes pretty far. Boot rotation, and a forward and back ankle tilt, and a left and right ankle tilt. This means this guy can, like, crunch forward and do all kinds of crazy stuff like that, which looks ridiculous. But what's articulation good for without accessories? So let's take a look at those. First accessory is his grenade belt. Now this is a classic piece. It's part of like the classic design in on a lot of figures, but I've noticed I like the slimmer look, but this thing isn't too hard to get on and off. You just slide it over them, and boom, you got a grenade belt. Kind of gives them extra weaponry. And you also notice that the pegs in the back line up. Now, why would he need to line up pegs in the back if he didn't have a cool backpack? This one's really nice, very military style, lots of pockets, lots of storage for stuff, I'm sure. Really nicely painted clasps on it. And yeah, you can line this up, plug this in, and boom! Now he's got a backpack. But of course, he's got all this storage. What can he actually use? So of course we have a sword. It's a classic Snake Eyes weapon. He is a ninja after all. And this sword is actually pretty neat as it has the Arashikage logo painted on it. It's a very unique design. It's not like a standard sword, and I actually really dig it. In addition to that, the sheath that goes in, really nice and neat. Plus the peg fits on the side of the backpack. Or if that's not your thing, you can actually peg it straight into his back, which is a lot of great variety. What's actually cool is due to the articulation, he can actually grab the sword while it's sheathed. You can't quite pull it out because, you know, physics, but it is definitely something you can do with the posing. Of course, once you have it unsheathed, it looks fantastic. Those extra wrist joints really help him. He can actually hold it dual wielded, and you can see the way the handle is, it's a little weird and curved at the end, so you just gotta position it just correctly, but you can get some amazing poses out of this guy. Next up, we have a small knife. A lot bigger for him, but you can see it's a small knife, but still incredibly detailed. No paint, but who cares? Now, of course, he can hold it, or he can stow it on his hip. Now, of course, being a ninja doesn't mean that he has to use all traditional ninja weapons. That's more Storm Shadow's thing. So, of course, we get a couple firearms. Now, this pistol is where things change for the retail release. As you can see, this one is much more realistic. It's more of a realistic pistol. This isn't sold at retail, and I think that's why they can do it. The one at retail is more of a sci-fi weapon, which, again, fits with the rest of the line, but it is a point of contention for some people. Now, what's cool is this pistol isn't alone, as it does come with a silencer that fits over the tip of the pistol. And that's pretty amazing, honestly. Talking about weaponry, of course, we also have Snake Eyes' classic Uzi. This is a very classic weapon for Snake Eyes. And again, there's a sci-fi version in the retail release, but this one's a more realistic. And the silencer fits on this as well, which is pretty amazing. What's also amazing is that not only can Snake Eyes hold his pistol and his silencer, he can holster the pistol and store the silencer as well. Now, he doesn't have a holster spot for the Uzi, but you really don't holster an Uzi, you kind of use it and then it's done. So it kind of works, but the fact you can have the bandolier, the backpack, the sheath, the sword, the knife, the silencer, and the pistol all stored on the figure at a time, and he only has to carry the Uzi, that's pretty incredible. And honestly, I really like seeing this. The deluxe version of Snake Eyes includes 2 exclusive hands, the first one being a Stop in the Name of Love hand, aka climbing gear, because it is actually raised to have him climb, which I kind of feel like is pointless with just one, and it doesn't really look as good as a karate hand because of the extra molding for the climbing gear. But on the other hand, the replacement left hand is incredible. Having a molded-in shuriken, it looks amazing, and it works really dynamically with the figure. I wish this was included with the retail release, but it is unfortunately only with the deluxe version. And apparently Hasbro thought Deluxe Snake Eyes didn't have enough, so we get an entire weapons rack with an entire set of weapons. So first is another katana, which I kind of like more than the base one, a pair of kama, a long-handled katana, a pair of sai, twin hatchets, and a bladed bow staff to round out the bunch. And all of this comes with a really cool ninja screen. Now, this is kind of a nice depiction of Fujin and Raijin, 2 gods of Japanese legend, as well as the 2 wolves on either side, which I kind of feel like are supposed to be a call out to Timber, who we'll hopefully see in Classified someday. I really like the textures used here. It's a really nice piece, and it is, of course, a secret weapons rack. This holding all the weapons. Now, they don't stay in there, and what I mean by don't stay in there is they're just resting there. But you can see it's really nicely detailed. A lot of kanji symbols with Fujin, Raijin, so it kind of goes with that whole symbology of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow being similar to Fujin and Raijin in a lot of ways. It's really nice, and these wolves look really cool. Yeah, so it's a really nice piece, but totally unnecessary to 9 out of 10 people. Most people will be happy with just Snake Eyes, and that's why that's the retail, and this is the special deluxe edition. Going after the deluxe edition to get these 2 hands, all this, and the realistic looking guns, it's going to be up to you if it's worth the money. I don't know what the aftermarket price on this is, but it was 40 bucks at the time, and while it was worth it for me, it may not be worth it to others. The final question that might be on your minds, and if there are more, please leave them in the comments, might be, how does Snake Eyes scale to other action figure lines? Well, I decided to pull out a little bit of variety. So first up, of course, we got to go with probably the thing that popularized 6-inch action figures in the modern era, Marvel Legends. Here's a standard size Marvel Legend. So you can kind of see how not only is Snake Eyes better articulated, more detailed, and probably more worth the money, he actually does size well with Marvel Legends, with him being a little bit shorter than X-Man here. Now, of course, viewers of this channel will probably be familiar with the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. So here's the Red Ranger. As you can kind of see, in the similar scale, Snake Eyes is a little shorter. He is not like 6'4" or anything, so this kind of works out fairly well. So it kind of works with that. We're also going to look at, here's from Hasbro's now dead Overwatch Ultimates line, Inch G.I. As you can kind of see how he kind of scales nicely with them too. The Overwatch figures were a little smaller, I think, scale-wise, but overall not too bad. And yeah, let's take a look also with DC McFarlane, where, okay, not only did Superman's cape knock Snake Eyes over, you can kind of see that while Snake Eyes, you know, isn't as tall as Superman, way bigger figure, so maybe not so much in the McFarlane range, but that's kind of a McFarlane thing to have happen. And of course, we got to bring in two other Hasbro comparisons. First up, here's a more modern 3 3/4" Snake Eyes. This is the Pursuit of Cobra one. I always liked the way this one looked with his cool trench coat. So you can kind of see scale there. And to bring it all full circle, we have a vintage-styled Snake Eyes. This is one included with the Rhino DVD set of the first 2 miniseries, which was my first G.I. Joe DVD, and that's my first Snake Eyes figure. So you can kind of see it's a bit of an evolution over time. We'll zoom in a little bit here. You can kind of see, you know, vintage to more modern to now classified. Of course, classified's not going to scale to the original G.I. Joe scale, because they are 6-inch, not 3 3/4". But knowing Hasbro and how they've handled Star Wars, it's entirely possible we got something on the way for 3 3/4". Now, that's not the only comparisons I want to do. Of course, we have to also bring in NECA's Ninja Turtles. So here's Leonardo. So you can kind of see he scales well with them. Of course, being the Turtles, always going off that they're 5 feet tall scale. Here's another favorite of mine. Here's Thundercats. This is a Mattel figure, but Four Horsemen still sculpting for Super 7. So you can kind of see that, you know, Thundercat's a little bit larger than life, which, you know, that makes sense. Move Leonardo back here. Here's He-Man, also Mattel, but again, kind of goes with that Super 7 scale. So they make Snake Eyes look a little short, but I also, you know, you can kind of see the size is not too far off. Just for funsies here, we're gonna put him there. Here's She-Ra, so you can see She-Ra here. Also, she's supposed to be gigantic. She's magically empowered. So you got that going on. Let's bring in Optimus Prime just for funsies, even though he's not in the same scale. That's pretty neato, actually. That Earthrise Prime's pretty cool. And Luke Skywalker. Yeah, that's also a great hero. So you kind of see Black Series Luke, a little short, but then again, Mark Hamill wasn't the tallest dude, so honestly, not too far off the bat there. And then we've got Diamond Select Toys Kevin Flynn, who is hella tall. Maybe that doesn't work. Yeah, but look at this though. You got Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe, Lion-O from Thundercats, Optimus Prime from Transformers, He-Man and She-Ra from Masters of the Universe, Leonardo from Ninja Turtles, and Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, which I may have said twice. It's the 80s childhood that I never had because I was born in the mid-90s, but I love all this stuff anyways. I'm a giant paradox. But yes, Snake Eyes and the G.I. Joe Classified line kind of fill a little bit of a void in the 80s toy market, or the 80s retro toy market. And, oh boy, this is some fun stuff. Maybe later on in the year we'll do another lineup like this, maybe throw in, I don't know, some Ghostbusters and maybe some Back to the Futures, and we'll go from there. But, yeah, the 80s seem to come back in 2020, like, heavily. kind of wild. So anyways, that does it for our size comparisons. So overall, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive G.I. Joe Classified Series Snake Eyes Deluxe Edition number 00 is a fantastic set. Like I said, it's only really for the hardcore collectors. At this point, now that it got out earlier than the rest of the line feeling is gone, it's, you know, up to personal preference and if you can find a set for a reasonable price. If the extra weapons are a big deal to you, if the extra hands are a big deal to you, you know, absolutely. And if it comes down to the coloring, you can get a good price. I know some people don't want all black, and the monochrome kind of appeals to them. So it's up to personal preference, absolutely. But overall, I really love the set, and it's a great start to the G.I. Joe Classified series. I can't wait to see what's coming up. We've already seen, you know, Wave 1 features Snake Eyes, Duke, Scarlet, Roadblock, and Destro, my favorite G.I. Joe character of all time. So that's already a win for me. Wave 2's got Cobra Commander. We got listings for more. I'm here, I'm ready. Hasbro, bring it on. This is fantastic. And like I said, I got figures coming, so Duke, Scarlet, and Roadblock will be next. I might put them all into one video. We'll see how it is when I get the figures in hand. But stay tuned for that. And stay tuned, as I kind of want to make the formal announcement here of a new video series that I hope to plan to have a new episode up weekly. And that'll be touring my toy collection. So more details on that when I get that up and running. So that does it for this review. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up with future content. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below and let me know which you prefer, the all-black Snake Eyes or the more monochrome. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter at Soundout12 for updates on future videos. Check out graphic designer Darkclaw on Twitter at Darkclaw643. And check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for all your G.I. Joe news and more. Until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.